I know.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with Ashley and Kev. Sorry we're late. Someone called Gavin Doyle wouldn't shut up and amend the show. So, don't act
Not
Gav
our
if you've got a
fault.
problem. Honestly, enough to do with Kev starting the show before we'd even gone live with all of his thoughts about the game tonight.
Or even
How are
tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I don't know what day it is. My back's in bits. I can't think straight.
Oh, so you're on the good drugs, so tonight, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go on something in a minute. I can't. My back's absolutely killing me.
Stop whining.
I know it's carrying you, Kev. Come on, Kev. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, good. I wasn't either here nor there about tomorrow night. Then I seen the squad that he's taken over, and I'm intrigued. I was actually going to give tomorrow night. I was going to give tomorrow night's game a bit of a swerve, and watch some of the other games where there was some stuff on it. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this works out for us. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, actually, interesting squad. So we all know what Slot's like. He doesn't rotate much, which he doesn't. He tends to go fairly strong. And then we went, oh, he's left like 7 or 8 of the regulars, not even on the plane. We're like, oh,
I'm surprised. I thought for sure that he was gonna go like pretty strong, just given his history and almost wanting to prove a point. But I mean, it's kind of refreshing. I'm kind of quite pleased with it. You get lots of kids that are hungry, and you've got lots of squad players that want a chance, and we get to rest all these people that we've been asking him to rest. So, like, good for him for surprising us.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen, so there's the ones who aren't going is Allison's not going. Then we've got Trent, Canarty, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, McAllister, Soboslai, Diaz, Salah. That's who's not going. So I was like,
yeah,
I must admit, I've looked at the squad. We'll go through the squad in a minute. And Joe Gomez is back in training, which is good.
Yeah,
don't think we'll see him in the next couple of games, but the fact he's back in training is a positive sign. Hopefully, see him against Plymouth probably in the FA Cup. So, in terms of the side, I reckon I could guess the attack and the front line. Midfield 2, I think will be extremely young, but actually quite look forward to seeing it. But also, Kev, from what the bits we've seen is, I think they're missing quite a few, aren't they? Is it up to 6 their regulars aren't playing, or some are ineligible? So it's not going to be like their main 11 because of injuries and eligibility.
They've got Ivan Perisic is ineligible. Tillman, American international, is injured until he's not expected back until the middle of February. And Sergio Dest. Sergio Dest has been doing the rounds now around Europe's top clubs for a good few years, with Barcelona, AC Milan. I think he was in Germany for a while. Never played in England by all accounts, but yeah, he's at PSV Eindhoven. He's out injury as well. He's in doubt. But the lineup that they are listed up to put out, there's some names in there that people will recognize. They've got some really good players. They're top of the Eredivisie. It looks like they're going to go on and win it again. Really good manager, aggressive, like to play the high line, like to push sides, kind of like us. They're very similar to how we play and how Klopp had us playing. They're very counter-pressing. They like the ball, and they score plenty of goals. And being at home in a game that they have to get something out of, it's a massive test for the players that are going. It's a massive test for our lads that are going. And I'll be honest, if we can get a win out of this tomorrow night, it'll be a massive achievement. It really, really would.
Yeah, Kev, you're getting lots of compliments about your fantastic new hairstyle.
So, yeah, I need a haircut. Leave me the fuck alone.
I know they were all complimentary. They weren't like me and Ashley taking the piss out of it. Ashley, so PSV. Our record against them is pretty decent. I think we've played 5, won 5. Can't really ask for much more than that. Last time we played them was 2008. So they felt like a bit like under Klopp. We always played Napoli. It felt like under Rafa Benitez, we always played PSV. It just felt like it's one of those things that always came up.
Yeah, I think outside of Porto, which I think we've beat them 6 times, I think PSV is like our next closest for most wins against a single team. So, I mean, it definitely bodes well. I don't think we can go into this with any sort of real expectation with this team. But you know, I think it's going to be a good run out for all of them. And yeah, they've won each of their last 5. You know, so I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see these players. There are enough players in this team where there's going to be quality kind of sprinkled throughout. And I think that it'll kind of act as a framework for some of these younger players that'll probably be out on debut for their first time.
Yeah, Brian O'Sullivan's just laughing at me saying Chris Thornton and laughing to himself. I mean, I've been doing this now for a good 3 or 4 years. I think you get used to it by now, but I don't take anything too seriously. Colin Kev, shits and giggles. Give me a starting 11, and then we'll work it, and we'll work backwards from there.
Look, Kelleher obviously starts.
Not Jaros.
Bradley. What's that?
Not Jaros.
Not Jaros. No. Creevin Kelleher will start. Bradley, Kwanzaa, Endo, Simicas, more than likely a back 4, but I don't think. I mean, Costas might start, but Costas won't finish. You know, Robertson will come off the bench.
I wonder if Rob will start. I thought Rob might start because I've got a feeling Costas might start the Bournemouth game for his crossings, for his set pieces.
It's as broad as it is long. I mean, the only reason you'd start Robertson is if you want him to captain the side.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a toss of a coin. It doesn't matter. You know, I think the one thing, I mean, who was it? Was it Gav was chatting about Robertson and Simicas? You're splitting hairs between the two of them. They offer you very much the same thing. They both can play good set piece deliveries. They both get up and down the wing. They both put crosses in. You know, they both know the position and know how to hold the line really well. It's a muchness as to who plays. The midfield is the key, because you look at the midfielders that he's taken. He's got an option to play 4-2-4 and start Cody, or he's got the option to play 4-3-3. I think you'll probably go with the latter, bear in mind that we're away. And I think if you play a 4-2-4 against a side like Eindhoven away from home, you're gonna get you're hanging the midfield 2 that you put in there out to dry, to be honest, I think. So I think Leone, Morton, Elliott would be midfield 3. And Elliott would be the furthest advanced of those 3. And front 3 then Gakpo, Nunes, and Chiesa.
It'd be nice for Gakpo going back to his old club on it, Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he spoke well about it. I think, you know, I was actually surprised that I'm wondering if like Virgil will travel at all just to like go back to the Netherlands in general. I don't think he will. I think they're going to do training sessions. At least that's what Slot said.
Yeah, I think Slot said they're going to get 2 to 3 days off rests because he doesn't get the option to give them full rests. Yeah. And then he says some of the staff are staying behind to do training sessions on the Thursday. So yeah, it looks like the guys be given proper rests, which I'll be honest, it's a luxury we don't get very often, which is to rest 7 first teams and not really have to worry about the result. It'd be nice to win. It'd be nice to get a point. But if we lose, it's not the end of the world, because worst case scenario is you finish second and it doesn't have a massive difference in who you're going to get. It's still one of the same 4 teams you're going to get. You just have a different side of the draw to probably Barcelona, who will finish second. Assuming, I think they need a draw against Atalanta to guarantee second, because there is a chance Arsenal could catch them
Arsenal or Inter, I think, could catch them.
But they need Barca to lose and they have to win their game. So, you know, there's a little bit more riding on it for them. But for us, it's first or second. Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I was actually thinking back to that game. I think it was Midtjylland where Jota got injured, where it was another one of those dead rubbers, and we kind of all wanted Klopp to rest and play the youth, and he didn't. And he threw in a lot of big hitters, and I think there was Jota and maybe one other big injury that happened in that game. So I'm just glad to see that that's a non-issue for tomorrow, where you're just like, okay, like our players are safe at home, and the players that need minutes are going to get minutes, and I'm okay with that.
Cool. Let's do score predictions then. And then, to be honest, there isn't really much more we could preview in this. So what we might do is let's have a look at the other fixtures, because there's actually more interesting ones. I mean, Kev's going to have 17 screens going to keep
Well, yeah,
keep contact with it.
For the first time in Yonks, I'm going to have I'll have my apps on my phone, and I'll have all the alerts turned on, and I think it could be pinging all night long. I love to sit there and have like the TNT equivalent of the red zone, and just sit there and watch all of the goals come in and just all the action from all over Europe. I love the idea of having all 18 games kicking off at the same time. And you look at most of the games, there's something on everything. But for our game, I think Eindhoven get a draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
I think Cody. You stop nicking my scores, you.
I think Cody gets one. I think Chiesa gets one.
Oh, nice.
I'd like that.
What are you going with, Ash?
I'm gonna say that we win it. I don't think it'll be like a clean sheet for us. I think let's do 3 for Liverpool and 2 for them, and have all of our front 3 score, because I think Nunes, I'd like to see him get in the rhythm of scoring, and I think if he's going to start, it's a big opportunity for him. And I think it's a big opportunity for Elliott too, to start staking a claim and really getting some minutes. And I don't know if he's ready to challenge Szoboszlai, but he's going to have a stage to prove himself. So I'm excited for that.
I've got a couple of 2-1s coming through here. I do think 2-2, but I can't go the same. So I'll go for a mad 5-3 Liverpool, just because it's shits and giggles. Who really cares? We could lose 5-0. It's going to be one of those games.
There's a couple of players there that I want to keep an eye on for tomorrow night. Yeah, Bakayoko is one. Shawnee Lawson tipped up last summer early.
Surprised he didn't move, actually. He was expected to move, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was expecting him to move. I thought he'd go to France, to be honest. But he's one to keep an eye on for tomorrow night. Lang on the other side, if he plays, he's really good as well. Highly rated. We know about Luke de Jong. He'll be a test for Kwanzaa. Because he's a forward now. Look, he's no spring chicken. And just have a look here now. He's 34 years of age, but he knows his game inside out. He knows how to use his physicality, and he knows how to cause problems, and he knows how to be the link-up man. But there's a guy that plays for them in the number 10 that I'm really surprised that he's still playing his football in the Netherlands. Is Gus Till, 27 years of age. Central attacking mid. He's their version of an attacking 8. I've seen him playing for the Dutch side, for the Dutch national side. He's been involved in a lot of squads. Really good player. 6'1", 6'2", big, strong, powerful runner. He's a handful. He's a real handful. He'll be on Tyler Morton like a rash. He's that kind of player. But looking for, and there's another player at the back, Boshagli, plays on the left side, can play as left of a 3, can play as a left-sided centre back. Really good player. Again, French, 27 years of age. Highly, he's one of these players that if he ended up in the Premier League next summer, it wouldn't surprise me. At a West Ham or a club like that, it wouldn't surprise me. They've got some really good players, and their keeper as well, Benitez. He's been around the block a while as well. I don't think he's been there for long, but 32 years of age, Argentinian, played for Argentina as well. Really decent player. Experience. This is what I mean. You look through the spine of their side, they've got strength. Veerman, another good player, played in the middle of the park, controls everything through the middle. They're going to be a handful. They're not the PSV Eindhoven that we would have played in the early 90s, who were like the epitome of second, third, fourth place Dutch sides. They just rolled over. They came for the big day, and that was it. This is a different kettle of fish. These are a decent side. I'm surprised they are where they are in the Champions League, but they've played some good sides in it this time around. So, yeah, it's not going to be an easy game.
Actually, the important question...
Listen, I'll be back in 2 minutes, all right?
No problem. Important question, Ashley, is how many captains will we have because I guarantee you the captain that starts won't finish. And I think it might be like the FA Cup, which I think we had 4, maybe 5 captains in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think my guess would be if Robbo starts, I think it would go to him. And then I could kind of just see it going to Endo and having it be Endo for the rest of the game.
You would think so, but you never know. He might just throw it to Gakpo or somebody else just for shits and giggles and go, doesn't really matter.
Maybe, so, but I mean, it was Endo that got it at the cup game, wasn't it? I think it was.
It started with Trent. It went to somebody else. I think Endo was about 3rd or 4th in line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess Robbo to Endo but
or maybe Keller. I may give Keller a go with Robbo. Yeah,
that'll be good to see Kelleher back in goal. I feel like we haven't seen him for a little while, and I don't know.
It's also good. It's also good because he's going to play Plymouth, isn't it? So it gets a little bit of rustiness out of him if there is any. So at least it keeps him sort of ticking along happy until he goes in the summer. So at least that's sort of boxed. Right, so let's have a look at some of the other fixtures because quite frankly, there's fucking loads. So I'll just go do the order that's on the Sky app. Villa at home to Celtic, which I'll be honest, just feels like it'd be an entertaining game. Because let's be honest, it's a Brendan Rodgers side, so there'll be no defending. So what sort of score are you thinking?
I'm going to say Villa win that. 2-1.
2-1. Will John Duran be in the squad? There is talk that he could be heading to Saudi League. There's a rumour that there seems to be, Kev was saying before, there's talk of a £58 million bid for him to go to Saudi.
But they just turned down 70 from West Ham, didn't they?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they just turned down 70, so it'd be weird for him to go for less than that. And also, I think he's that old.
The league. I suppose for them, is it if they're going to sell him, they'd rather sell him for less outside the league.
Now. I mean, they did get Malin in, didn't they? So they're pretty stocked in their forward line.
Yeah, I think so.
It would be a shame to see him go. I don't know. I always kind of think it's a shame to see players in their peak head out to Saudi. I just think, that time is still there for them in a few years.
Yeah, I think so.
Who are you talking about, Duran?
Yeah, well, I was saying, didn't they just turn down 70 million for him from West Ham?
No, apparently 70 million euro is the bid coming from Saudi, 58 point something million pounds. If he's going anywhere, I'm delighted he's going to Saudi. I'm delighted he's out of the league. He's a player I'd rather didn't end up somewhere like Chelsea.
He's only
didn't end up somewhere like Arsenal because I think he could be a headache down the line. He's really young.
Yeah, 21 years old.
Yeah. And they brought in Daniel Mallet, but apparently Villa are looking at Joao Felix as well and Disasi from Chelsea. So
they're probably going to offload someone to balance the books a little bit.
They sold Diego Carlos earlier in the window.
Oh, that's true.
So Disasi coming in maybe on loan. Joao Felix probably loan with an option towards the end of the season. It just fills out their squad. I think a lot for Villa will depend on where they finish in the Champions League, if they go straight through to the playoffs or if they have or straight through to the knockout, or if they have to play playoffs, because anyone they sign for that's already played in Europe, I think, is cup tied until
the knockout stages.
Until the knockout stages, there won't be. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong.
That would make sense because, the Yamani signed for PSG wasn't in the squad and he was signed, so that would probably make sense. Next game, Kev, we're going to do is Barcelona versus Atalanta, which again feels like a cracking game. Barcelona need if they want to finish top of the group, they need the win, and I believe Atalanta are 5th. So I think for them, a draw will probably keep them in the top 8.
I think with a lot of clubs, there's going to be an awful lot of eyes going on around the grounds, more or less, just to see who does what and who could be doing what. It's look, Barcelona at home, you'd fancy them. Atlanta are a problem for anybody. It looks like the Ketzeler is coming into his own at Atalanta. He's playing really well, but you have to fancy Barcelona at home. Yeah, you have to fancy Barcelona at home.
Yeah, Barty's done a knee injury, so they're not quite sure when he's back, but he definitely won't be back anytime.
Barcelona are coming up on the back of a 7-1 win against Valencia at the weekend, where they pumped 7 past the keeper we've just bought.
Yeah, he didn't look great in that game.
But by all accounts, he made one absolute clanger.
Yeah.
Well,
Which,
I
as you
think
can
the
imagine,
XG was up around 5 or something, so it wasn't like he had an
Exactly.
absolute howler.
yeah.
but don't worry, social media was really calm about it, and none of them said like, "Why the hell we've signed a dud." None of that came out. You know, it was all quite calm. You know,
I think Kelleher was trending for like a good 24 hours.
I honestly think Barcelona are dark horses, probably favourite for the Champions League. I just think I look at that squad, look at the age of it. They're so young, you know, and they've got so much talent. If they can hold it together with someone like Lewandowski up front that's banging goals, Yamal, Rafinha, Gavi, Pedri at the back, Araujo's come back from injury. You know, the only weak link you'd look at is probably Szczesny and goal. You know, if Ter Stegen gets back before the end of the season, there'll be a problem. As Cahill points out there, Lookman is having a great time at Atalanta. So it's definitely going to be one of those games to watch for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think the score is going to be?
So it's tickled Kev there. What score are you going for, Kevin? You can kind of giggle into yourself.
I think Barcelona probably win it maybe 4-2. I think there's plenty of goals in that game.
Sounds about right. What are you thinking, Ash?
I think probably it's going to be high scoring. I mean, Barcelona maybe 4-1.
4-1. Cool. Let's go to the other end of the table then. Man City at home to Club Brugge. Man City have to win to basically qualify, because I think as long as they win, they qualify. It'll take an uncanny amount of weird results to go against them for them to win and still not qualify. But you would expect actually to beat Club Brugge. Club Brugge aren't fantastic.
I mean, they're above the table at the moment.
They are, but you know.
Yeah, I think City are kind of clicking back into gear, as much as I hate to admit it. You know, I'd imagine they'll play the strongest side they can, because, you know, they don't want to get out. They don't want to be out of this competition. So, unfortunately, I'm going to say Man City go through pretty comfortably.
So it's put 1-1. Mignolet with a last gasp equaliser. I mean, I'll be honest.
That would be amazing. I would love Mignolet to do like an Alisson-esque header for like the winner at the end.
The weirdest 0-0 ever.
Yeah.
Mignolet makes 87 saves, which he's never done.
I tell you now, I think Simon Mignolet is one of those keepers that can have one of those nights.
When he's busy.
We saw it. You know, when he was at Sunderland, I honestly thought this guy is going to be a proper keeper. You know, when he was back to the walls, he was making saves. You know, he was really, really good. There's one player off that lineup that I look at and I think I've heard of him, and that's Vanaken.
Sam Mignolet.
Yeah, Mignolet and Vanaken. But the rest of them, I'm like, I don't know any of you lot. You know, none of them. I can't see anything but a comfortable night for Man City. I can't see anything, but I would actually. Do you know what? No, I don't care if they go through. I want them to go through, because the more games that a Man City play, the better. But at the same time, if they go out, that would be a real financial hit for them.
It also be funny.
Yeah, it'll also be funny, but also
it would be funny. Yeah,
if they go out, that might help them guarantee second spot.
I think they'll get that. I think they're
going to get that anyways.
Yeah,
yes, that's hard. Yeah.
What do we think for a score there? I'm going 3-0.
I think it could be 5. I think it could genuinely. I think it could be 5.
Yeah, but I'm just going to manifest it and say 2-2. I'm just going to manifest 2-2 just for shits and giggles. It won't happen, but if you don't try, you never know, do you? So in terms of the other games, I'm trying to think if there's any ones that really stand out as big games that I've got a lot riding on them.
I just
Kev.
I just want to
PSG
quickly
win.
PSG need a result. I want to try and get up the table. PSG are away to Stuttgart. Let me just get up the table a sec. As it stands, PSG are in 22nd, Stuttgart are in 24th. They're both on the same points.
Red Steve says, geez, Kev, Bruges aren't scoring 5. Oh, bless him. I'm glad Red Steve's here.
Well, look, PSG and Stuttgart, you look at it, winner goes through. Winner goes through, loser, in all likelihood, if Man City win, odds are loser could go out because Sporting Lisbon is sandwiched between PSG and Stuttgart in 23rd. So it's like, I'm just looking at sides that are outside. Man City 25th. The rest of them, Bologna are in 28th. I thought they were Leipzig in 30th. It's like...
Oh, Leipzig had a terrible Champions League campaign.
They've been really poor. 3 points in all told, 3 points in 7 games.
City, if Man City win, just the one result could put them up into 19th.
Yeah.
Which then puts them in the realms of playing us, doesn't it?
And 15, at the minute, 15, 16, 17, 18s. It's Bayern, Real Madrid, Juventus, and Celtic.
Thank God for that.
Which I think I think all of that's going to move around quite.
I think it'll all move around.
Jonathan makes a good point. It'll suit us City qualified because the second leg is 4 days before we play them at the Etihad. Whereas we'll be rested. So maybe they get a squeaky one through and then get knocked out in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, you look at the top 8 at the minute. There's obviously Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan. You'd expect those sides to be knocking in and around last 16, last 8 of it, Champions League most seasons, right? Then you're down to Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen last season unbeaten in the season apart from the Europa League final. So the fact that they're up in 8th isn't really a shock. But I think it's this new Champions League format. It's been a massive kick in the teeth and a massive wake-up call to the elite clubs, the Bayern Munichs of this world, the Real Madrids of this world, that in the old format come out in pot 1 all the time. Get a handy group that they generally have to come out of. 3 wins and a draw takes you out of the group, and you're straight into knockouts. I think this time, the way the format is, you're guaranteed to be playing someone else who would normally be in a pot 1, then a pot 2, then a pot, and so on and so on. So I think they just haven't been alive to it. And you look at Bayern Munich in 15th, played 7 on 12 points. It's going to be interesting where the table finishes up because, look, after 8 games, I know everyone hasn't played everyone, but where the table lies, that's where the form guide really is. That's all you have to go on. Doesn't matter what sides did in the past. It's what they're doing this season. And you take that and look at their league form. It's like, Munich are doing well in the league, but they're not bringing that form into the Champions League. And Real Madrid are really well, but their Champions League form, to be honest, is so poor.
Yeah. I mean, actually,
there's a ton of jeopardy though. They're low in the table, but what is it, 3 teams that can realistically drop out from here? It's not like you're going to see a massive cull of teams at this point in time. I think the next round will be really interesting because you will lose a few big teams, but as long as those teams like a Real Madrid back themselves in the knockout stage, it's almost like the first couple of games didn't really matter. I think a lot of people are talking it up as oh, look at how much more eventful it is. And it kind of feels, at least to me, it feels like there's a lot less on the line for these games, at least leading up to this week.
I think maybe if probably for next year onwards, maybe the likes of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, who probably would have coasted a little bit, going look, 4 wins and I'm done. They probably have to, I think they've realised now, probably clubs like Celtic, PSV are going it's not catastrophic now to even lose 2 games, because normally in the old Champions League before, you lost 1 or 2 games, you're pretty much out of court. You would never get into the knockout stages. You were done. Whereas now
maybe that's what I'm talking about in terms of jeopardy. It feels like you can lose 3 and still go through, and it'll be fine.
But
here's the thing: as it stands at the minute,
can be braver, can't they? Because they can just run at you and go. If we get beat, it doesn't matter because we've still got another chance. Whereas maybe in the old Champions League, you'd be a bit more cagey. Go, we need to try and just nick a point and hope for the best.
You look at a side like Celtic. Celtic has sat there on 12 points, because they'll have played 4 games against sides who are either ranked the same as them or just above them. And they won't have, they'll have played games against like the top end clubs, but they're giving themselves a real chance. And you're seeing it as well in the Europa League and in the Conference League, where League of Ireland sides are doing really well. The League of Ireland is largely a part-time league. I mean, yeah, they're professional, but it's like it's really strange. And the jeopardy, I think, from 8th down to 23rd, they're all in with a shot of finishing in the playoffs. Of avoiding the playoffs. Sporting Lisbon are on 10 points, Stuttgart on 10 points in 24th. And in 8th place, Bayer Leverkusen in 13th. So depending on how results go and goal difference, then anyone is still able to avoid playoffs. And out of the sides that are at the bottom, I think the sides that are out, the fact that they're out of Europe, they don't drop into the Europa League conference. I think in the long run, they might address that, because I think it's to the detriment of the Europa League and the Conference League. I think they miss out on TV audiences that would tune in to watch sides who are, they're used to seeing in Europe. Whereas if you're going to be only playing if the sides that are currently in the Europa League and that they follow that form, there's not really any big hitters in it. Chelsea are the only big hitter that's in the conference. They should stroll it. Spurs are in with a real. Spurs should be looking at the conference, at the Europa League. They should be winning that. Whether they do or not, who knows? But I think they might relook at that. I think when the season, Slot is right when he says when the season is over, you can look back and judge it properly. But I think they'll probably tweak a few things with this. I'd be surprised if they don't. But I think there is something on most games tomorrow night.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how the table finishes up, where everyone finally lands.
That's something for us to all go through tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll talk about Liverpool being top, and then we can do the permutations and work out, who are one of our likely opponents, and see where the land lies. Could be some very interesting playoff games, which should be good to look forward to. Actually, I mean, other than European football and John Duran moving, anything else exciting happening in the football world? We aren't talking about Arsenal because I'm sick of people. I'm sick of talking about them.
I mean, there was the Coop thing last night, which
let's not talk. No, let's not talk about that. No, I don't want to talk about that either, because that just feels like a box I don't want to reopen again.
I agree with that. But that's like the only somewhat news-esque thing that I've heard of recently.
Sam says, should we talk about contracts? They still haven't signed them.
They haven't signed them. Move on.
Yeah, according to Real Madrid sources, it's 98% done, which is a very specific number.
Yeah, that's
not 97.4 or
98. Bang on 98.3. Yeah.
I think United are looking to make moves in a bigger way than I thought they would. It looks like they might be able to get Casemiro off their books, and they might be able to get him out the door with a fee as well towards the end of the window. It looks like Roma are coming in for him, and that's, I think, a massive bonus for Manchester United if they can get Casemiro off the books and his wages off the books. That I honestly thought the only ones who might come in and take the pressure off for someone like him would have been the Saudi League, that they would come in and entice him with the wages. But if Roma come in and take him off their wage bill, that's huge. It looks like they're going to get their deal done for the left wing back that I don't think hardly anyone has ever seen play football in their lives. Manchester United are paying 30 million for him, massively overpaid. Because, I mean, if you're coming from Lecce and you're paying 30 million for this guy, time will tell. But he's not coming in with, that sometimes you can get a nice 10, 12 million pound deal and hope that, they work and you look great. At 30 million for a fullback, he better be working. You know, he needs to work because he'll have to shift Dalot out the way, and it's a big deal for Amarin because that's his first signing, and then you got the Rashford stuff. You know,
Yeah, let's talk about that. I would say, as a sales technique, not the best tactic to pretty much say I'd rather put a 50, 60-year-old goalkeeper coach on the bench rather than Marcus Rashford, who basically he's pretty much called out and said won't pull his weight, won't play my game. There aren't many workplaces you can get away with that, but also who's going to buy him or who's going to take him on loan? Because you pretty much said take this off our hands. His attitude's shit and he's on a lot of money. Great sales technique.
That felt to me like a message to the owners where, like, I know that they're looking at selling Garnacho as well. And I think Amarin would rather work with Garnacho than work with Rashford. Like, if you listen to the way that he talked about Rashford and how he's like trying really hard and doing all the things. And yeah, he's been in and out of the squad and he's had behavioral issues. He sounds a hell of a lot more optimistic when he's talking about him. But I think that, at least from what I understand or what I've read, it seems like the hierarchy at Man United are interested in selling him more than they are Rashford. And I think Amarin wants the other way around. So I don't know. I mean, he hasn't pulled any punches with, these press conferences. For someone that, supposedly doesn't say a lot in press conferences, he says quite a bit.
I mean, when he leads and I see in the video, he goes, "There's your headline." I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was the other one that said, I've been here for 2 months, and even though I'm 40, I feel like I'm 50 now, which was also a great headline.
Not a ringing endorsement for life of Manchester United. But listen, Kev, they're going to get a new shiny new stadium, which the British public are going to pay for. So,
yeah, I don't think they are. From what I read, it looks like the redevelopment around the ground and the infrastructure around the ground and the transport links, I think they'll get help with that. I don't think they'll get help with the stadium. No, I don't think they want help. I don't think they want help with the stadium because if they get help with the stadium, they won't own it and be able to do what they like with the revenue. But I think they can sell the idea of a regeneration of that area of Manchester easier than they can. The government are going to stump up the cash for Old Trafford. Can't see that happening. But on Rashford, if he's coming out saying, I'll take a pay cut to go, this is a great window if you can sell players because clubs are panic buying left, right, and centre. They're overpaying for players left, right, and centre, in and out of clubs. I don't think they'll get the money in the summer for Garnacho that they can get now. And they're not going to qualify for Europe. They're not going to get relegated. So if he can get as much money, cash back into the club now as possible and just get to the end of the season and then look to be smarter in the transfer market by buying players that fit his 3-4-2-1 way of playing, then he might have a chance. But Scholes coming out saying Rashford should be banished from the dressing room. Paul Scholes is going to have an ear of what's going on inside the club more than anyone else. So if the attitude is really that bad, I think it's poor when a manager comes out and says that about a player that you're trying to sell anyway. It never works well when you're washing your laundry in public. But there will be clubs out there that will take a punt on him, even if it's a loan with an option. And they did it with Sancho when they let him go back to Dortmund. And it worked out really well for Dortmund, so much so that Dortmund ended up, the way the deal was structured, paying the majority of his wages, and it boosted his transfer value by the time he came back to Manchester. The fact that it went pear-shaped after that is more on the club than anything else. But if they could do similar with Rashford, get him out playing, he can refine his form, start scoring goals. If he goes to Spain or Italy or Germany, find his form, score goals. It looks like Bayer Leverkusen could be losing Boniface to Saudi Arabia. They're on about taking Evan Ferguson on loan.
That was a weird link. I'm surprised to see Ferguson being linked away now.
I think Brighton are looking at him thinking, look, he's injured a lot. We've got better. he is pure profit on their books. And if they can flip him now, then the fact that they can sell him abroad, they've seen what happens when young Premier League players go to Germany. They could structure a deal so that they get a double bonus off of Evan Ferguson. If he goes there and does really well, they might get a kicker on the back end of it when it's Leverkusen sell him again. But if Leverkusen come in and say, right, well, we'll take a punt on Marcus Rashford for the rest of the season and bring in Evan Ferguson as well. Yeah, they're losing Boniface, but or as Jamie Carragher calls him, Bonifaci. But it's like it's win-win for the club, and it might help Manchester United in boosting Rashford, making him more saleable in the summer. Because ultimately his career at Manchester United is done. As long as that manager's there, he's finished. There's no walking back what he said in that press conference.
Not really.
He basically called him out as lazy, time waster, can't be arsed, and I want him out of here. He may as well have just said that. He'd had more respect, I think, if he'd have turned around and said that.
I mean, it's probably quite a few Man United players you could also probably label that as
sure.
what you're saying. But fun times in Manchester, eh? But back to Liverpool.
I'm just trying to have a look and see if there's any other crap going on. I think it could be busy. I think Chelsea could be busy if they start. Keep an eye on what Chelsea flip players for. So I got a feeling
thing feels like it's like money laundering almost. The way that he's been moved around clubs.
I think with Chelsea,
it might be like a Murata that just like moved, and I'm like, I don't know why you're moving, but you're moving for a lot of money.
I think Chelsea are try before you buy. They'll pay a fee. They'll bring him in. They'll bring a player in. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's, say, Disasi, for example, if they can flip him to Villa and cover his wages with the profit that they try to make on the deal, it's cost them nothing. If they buy X player for £20 million and they can sell him for 20 million plus add-ons of 2 or 3, assuming the add-ons will be achievable, you've covered the player's wages while he's been at your club. If he works out, if it's a player, you sign a player and he works out, great, you keep him, fantastic. If it doesn't work out, and you can flip him really quickly, because their value shouldn't drop significantly in the time from when you bring him in to the time you flip him. With the volume of players they're buying, it's João Felix a classic, Christopher Nkunku is a classic. Flying in the Bundesliga, done really, really well. Hasn't worked out for him with injuries and everything else at Chelsea, but he's still really highly regarded. But I think there's a window where you can sell that kind of player.
Wasn't Villa one of the teams that was helping Chelsea kind of balance the books in that?
Yeah, and Newcastle in that trio.
I kind of feel like with them, I mean, I don't know if Newcastle's involved this time, but it feels very much like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation when it comes to some of these players.
Possibly. I mean, apparently you hear the line on Sky Sports News a lot. The hierarchy at the club have a really good working relationship with each other. It's slang for what Ashley just described.
Yeah. Which when you also hear about Man City and Liverpool's hierarchy, they don't like each other, and that's also quite well known that they don't like each other at all.
FSG do not like the Glazers one little bit, and that's
all Man City's owners, and I don't think and Man City's owners and the Glazers do not like FSG.
I think it must sicken Man City's owners when they lost James Milner to us on a free, and James Milner went and did what he did for us. And on the flip side, we got 50 million off them for Raheem Sterling, and Sterling did really well for him, but I think they were fleeced on that Sterling deal, because at the time he'd really achieved sweet sum of nothing with us. He'd had one really good season, and we charged them top dollar for it.
There's a few clubs that I'm just surprised aren't doing more. Like I thought Tottenham would bring in more players. Like I thought they would bring in someone to bolster.
Help Kev's mate.
I mean, I'm still surprised.
There's no help in that, man. There's no help in that, man.
I think he's
just like a red rag to a ball less.
No, it's not.
I think he's a dead man walking.
Yeah, I just hope to God
he's-
he hangs on long enough until the second leg of the League Cup.
I think that's the only reason he's there,
Yeah.
is to play that game.
It wouldn't surprise me if we knocked them out of the League Cup. He's announced next day he's gone.
Yeah,
No.
100%.
Let me get this straight, okay? Let me just get this straight out and end this nonsense once and for all. I don't care about the guy one bit. I hated the media narrative around him. All right, mate, and all that stuff. You know, they were like, he's everyone's mate. Isn't he fantastic? He's great for the media and what have you. That's fine. That works a treat, okay. The game against Chelsea, when he went down to 9 men and he stood players on the halfway line trying to play against Chelsea, that for me should have been red flags all over White Hart Lane. Saying, this guy has not got a clue what he's doing. We've got to sort this out in the summer. He will never take us forward, ever. In a month of Sundays, the way he wants to play football is great in Scotland. If you're managing Celtic or Rangers and you want to play that way, you've got a 50-50 chance of winning the league and you'll score plenty of goals, so the odds are in your favour. You do that in the Premier League with a good squad, not a great squad, a good squad, you will get exposed really badly by a lot of sides who will tactically work you out. And that's what's happened. He's been badly exposed, and Spurs have got their Spurs back. They have got their Tottenham back, because this is the Tottenham of the 90s. This is the Tottenham of the 2000s.
Like, considering he was such a media darling, like you were saying,
he's turned that very quickly.
Hasn't he? Talk. What?
He's turned that very quickly. The media's turned on him now because of how he acts.
He doesn't even look at. I mean, everyone gives me shit for not staring at the camera. Ange is way worse. He doesn't even stare at the camera during an interview. But, like, you listen to him in the post match, and they're talking like, you know, oh well, what could you do better? And he's like, oh, I don't think they can do any better. They're trying really hard. They're like, he doesn't mention a thing about tactics, no matter how much people try to, you know, say, hey, maybe just try being a little bit more defensive or, you know, restructuring a little bit. It's nothing. It's like he doesn't even acknowledge that there's a possibility of being able to tweak his team and his tactics.
I mean, the way he spoke to journalists, he basically said, so Ange, same old story, which I'll be honest, is quite a standard journalistic phrase when they get into it. He goes, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you know, you lost again, which is true. He goes, great way to start an interview. I was just like, I don't just not your mate, but you don't need to be a tit. You don't need to be a tit.
I'm not your mate. I've got a job to do, and you've just lost again. And you've lost. The thing is,
you've lost the same way. You've lost the same way.
You've lost the same game. You've lost the same game.
Yeah,
10 times this season.
It baffles me. But I don't often agree with Gary Neville, but it'd be like, it would be interesting if a journalist was ever, when the interview was given the chance to go, listen, mate, I've got a job to do. So, you know, if you're going to be an arse with me, ask it even more difficult questions and make it really awkward and go like, I can make this, because we know the game with journalists. If you make, and I think Klopp suffered this to a certain extent, if you piss them off, they will ask you really awkward questions to make it a bit more unbearable. If you play the game a little bit, you let off about. You don't basically. You have to be a tit.
I think it's very telling that Daniel Levy isn't giving him any money, because I don't think he's got. I mean, AC/DC makes a point there. Why didn't we beat them? The sun shines in the dog's arse once a season. You know, we were really, really poor.
And the player that scored the goal shouldn't have been on the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not we're still shit, but like
but you'll get the odd game like that over a season. It's not a surprise. Everton beat you 3-0, man. You know what I mean? Or 3, whatever it was. You were 3-0 down at half-time against Everton. Everton couldn't score goals for toffee at the time. It's
unintended.
But I honestly think Daniel Levy is not giving him any money to spend purely and simply because I don't think he'll be there either. He might finish the season, but I don't think he'll finish. I don't think he'll be there next season.
They bought a lot of players too, weren't they? One of the ones that sort of like, oh, we won the transfer window, which kind of show that the transfer window means nothing for the actual results.
I think they spent the bones of £130 million.
There was a lot. There was a lot of young players that they brought in.
Yeah, they did. And look, I think they brought in the likes of Mickey van de Ven, good player.
Archie Gray was a smart guy.
Yeah, Udogie looks like a good player.
Solanke's a decent signing.
Yeah, Solanke's a
he
very
was
good
the
signing.
bulk of the spend.
Ashley, I remember during the transfer window in the summer, you were looking at that saying, yeah, watch him.
I thought that was going to be a brilliant move. I mean, I didn't
And it
expect him
is.
to be so injury prone.
Yeah, but it's. I think a lot of that is down to the way they're playing. I think they're asking players to do too much. And look, they do have injuries. They're probably overusing players now where they're not able to rotate. I get all of that, but at the same time, if you're unwilling to adapt your style to compensate for your deficiencies, it shows a poor manager.
Yeah.
Klopp did it. I mean, and I remember listening to post-match, you guys were probably on it, where we were talking about how reserved the team was and how how risk averse they became basically. Yeah. And, it was all about the midfielders dropping deeper to protect the defenders. And there were no risky balls. There were no risky shots. It was there were hardly shots at all, but we got to third that season and we did it with basically the wheels falling off. And, they're kind of in that position. I understand they have injuries, but you can mitigate for that. And he's not doing those things.
I think the other one you could look at is potentially not doing what they need to do is Arsenal. Everyone in the dog knows Arsenal need a striker. But I wonder how much headroom they have in this transfer window. I think the summer might be different. But I think in this transfer window, I don't think the player that they need is available. And I don't think they're willing to spend the kind of money to make a deal happen for a 9. Because there's no point in a club like Arsenal spending money on a 9 to get them through until May. They have to do what we kind of did with Gakpo and what we did with Diaz. If you're going to bring in someone in January, it has to be someone that you've got a plan for the next 3 years. Otherwise it's pointless. You may as well go with what you have, because the target that you're looking for in the summer is going to be the player that you really want, and you might be able to get them for a fee that is a lot less than what you'd be forced to pay in a January window, because I think the January window is proving to be, as it almost always is, you very rarely see a gotcha deal in January. Very rare.
I'm surprised. I mean, the Sesko deal seems like it's still kind of on the table for them.
I don't think he's had a great season. That's the thing. Is I think he's supposed to
it seems to be the one that they're still interested in. And I think, I mean, he plays for Leipzig, right? They're out. So they're out of the Champions League. So they don't have a ton that they're fighting for. So maybe if they were smart, that's what, I would push that through. But
I wonder
if you're Leipzig, you put an extra 30-40 million on the fee and go, how desperate do you want it? How desperate do you want it? And I actually don't think Arsenal would jump at the fee that they'd sell him for.
I don't know if they can. I don't know where they're at in terms of, I know Arteta comes out and says, oh, we haven't spent as much as other people. They've spent a fair amount of money. They've spent a lot.
Yeah, he's played in 18 games this season so far in the Bundesliga. He scored 8. It's not. I mean, I think he's talented. I think he's a real talent.
Just under, not quite 1 and 2, is it?
No, exactly. But I think for the kind of fee that Leipzig are going to want for him, then I think your goal return needs to be up of what Christopher Nkunku's goal return was when he was playing in Germany, where he was banging in close on 30 goals in the season, kind of thing.
I mean, Cunha was the other one that they were linked to, right? Which he hasn't. He was linked to Arsenal and Man United. Still hasn't moved. I don't know. He's one to watch probably until the end of the
I think Wolves are Wolves. There's a real possibility that they could go down. I think
they could go down with him. They'll definitely go down without him.
Exactly. I think they're as well off looking at someone like him saying, look, at least having him with us, with Wolves, it gives them a fighting chance of staying up. And that to Wolves is priceless. You see what happened to Luton. You look at Luton now in the Championship, and there's every chance that Luton could go again. You know, it's so dangerous for sides that when they go down, it's not like the old days where sides go down and they automatically bounce up. A lot of sides go down and they can really hemorrhage money if they're not careful. And I think Wolves could be one of those clubs where they've been in the Premier League now for a good while. You know, you probably have players on good money, on fairly decent contracts, lengthwise.
Probably no release, probably no relegation clauses on them. So
yeah, I mean, Emmett makes a point there. Hopefully, Sesko to Arsenal is what Timo Werner was to Chelsea. It could quite possibly be that. You know, but at the same time, anytime I've seen him in international football, he looks a proper handful, and he's still really young and raw. He's nowhere near the Alexander Isak level, but Arsenal, I think the way Arteta likes to play is he likes that big, tall striker up front.
Someone said get the lad from Southampton.
Who was that?
I can't think of his name now. The one he played against us, who was massive. He'd be perfect for. He'd be perfect for Arsenal set pieces.
He reminds me of that boxer in Nikolai Valuev, and he used to be a heavyweight boxer. Russia, he was like 7'2". I remember David Hay fighting.
Play for Midgetland. That's my favorite football. Fact.
That's him. O'Sheen mentioned it.
Yeah.
I
can't pronounce
it.
I
want to watch you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
the other talk is ex-Liverpool player Fabio Carvalho is getting interest to go on loan in Germany. Not kicked on at all since he left Liverpool.
Yeah, that did not work for him. And it's interesting because Vandenberg has been doing really well there.
Yeah,
so it's not like the club was a dud for Liverpool players. It's just there's something with him where it's not quite clicking. And
to me, it sort of went downhill for him when he texted the national coach saying, "I don't want to," which we also at the time didn't sit well. As like, if you don't want to be selected internationally, that's your choice. But you know, ring someone, bit of courtesy, not a text message. And ever since then,
a lot of clubs with a lot of really good coaches who all said the same thing. Who all said, it was an effort and an application thing. The talent's there.
I think the problem with with Brentford, you look at the Brentford playoff, you've already got Martin Damsgaard, who is head and shoulders a better player. He's just a better all-round player in the same position. I don't think he's got the patience to be able to push him out the way. And I don't think he's got the mental strength to be able to say, yeah, I'm not starting. And yeah, if he wants to go back to Germany and try again, it might work out for him, but I wouldn't bet the house on it. No, I really wouldn't. But I think the next few days in the transfer window, I think you'll start seeing a lot of noise starting to come out after tomorrow night.
I think so.
You could start seeing a lot of noise coming out tomorrow
themselves
night.
Out, I think.
Yeah, for us as well. I wouldn't be surprised if a few players end up going out on loan. I mean, Chris, you were saying there on the maybe after the FA Cup they'll be gone. The window will be closed by then. So it'll
close on the 3rd, doesn't it?
Close on Monday. So at the end of the day, if there's going to be any one of our lads going out on loan,
the FA Cup's be after. Night. It was late than I thought.
Yeah, it'll be after tomorrow night. So the likes of Tyler Morton, Trey Yoni, if clubs are looking at him, Dan's, Dan's could be another one. There could be a few that after tomorrow night, a good showing for a few of them tomorrow night, come out of the game healthy. You could see some movement on a few loan deals to go out, but I think we can loan out a maximum of 6.
So I think there was a quote about Dan's in an article that I read the other day, and it said it'd be easier to tell you the teams that are not interested in him than the teams that are, because there are so many teams that want to bring him in. Yeah. And I don't know if he's going to be brought in with Jota. That's my question.
There was that line from Slot, was it a week or so ago, saying, "Oh, Jota, it's weeks, not months." But then there was a passing line, might affect if Dan's goes away though, which makes
the thing is,
if Dan's doesn't go out alone, that says the Jota injury is more closer to the.
Well, apparently, Joe Gomez was out on the grass training today.
Yep,
just good.
Jota and Jones are in the gym training. They're training indoors, so they're not a million miles away.
Which is good.
So yeah, it's exactly what you want to hear. If Joe Gomez is out training on grass at the minute, that's probably 2 two and a half weeks away. It's probably 2 weeks away from a match day squad.
So which is probably Plymouth, isn't it? Which is the ninth.
Which is Plymouth on the bench and see what happens after kind of thing.
Paul Giovanni saying Bajcetic looks like he's off to Las Palmas.
Yes, I read something about that the other day. Now that Pep Linders is gone from Salzburg, Klopp is still over the Red Bull group, but he's not involved in the coaching aspect of it. They know it's a loan. It's not a loan with an obligation or anything like that, or an option. It was a straight loan. So if Bajcetic can go to Las Palmas and play the second half of the season, I don't know if Las Palmas are in the second division in Spain. Maybe someone can fill in, but it wouldn't be the worst idea seeing him go back to Spain for a few months. I think the jury's out on him, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. I think a loan will do him no harm. Let's put it that way.
He needs to play.
I think Everton is saying that they're in La Liga, so
they're 15th in La Liga.
Okay, so if he goes, there's every chance that he plays.
They're only 3 points above the relegation zone.
I don't know.
That'd be an interesting one. So I'm with you. I don't know whether the possibly decision's already been made on him. So right.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they do actually. Yeah, Ollie McBurney is there on loan.
Yeah.
Las Palmas.
And Scott McKenna as well.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a bad fit. For him going there, obviously Spanish speaking, but the fact that you've got English lads there as well, or English speaking players there as well, it probably makes it a bit easier for him to settle in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the worst idea.
He just needs playing time.
100%.
I think the big thing with the loan, the most recent loan, was he was getting substitute time, but he wasn't starting.
Yeah. And look, horses for courses. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for players at clubs, and they move on to another club and they do really well. It's all part of the learning experience, especially for young players.
Yeah. So before we go, don't forget our charity partners. We've got the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, and we've got fan supporting food banks in Liverpool. Aim is to get to €10,000, 5,000 for each charity. Link is in the description below. So if you can give, please give. If not, share it around all your social media and WhatsApp groups, and let's try and get this target as quickly as we can. And if you just like seeing us, and you also enjoy some of the fun, become a member. $3.99. You get to join into the Telegram group, which is mental, and you also get some of our member shows, which we have the 30, which Gav does every day, which is intriguing. You see people in cars and doing shows and all sorts of randomness.
And we've got double shows coming up in February. So
I honestly thought Emmett was in a car park in Mexico for the 86.
He looked like a 10-year-old filming from the back of his mom's car.
That's what it sounded like. If you were watching TV commentary from the 86 World Cup, that's what it sounded like. It sounded
he was filming with his Motorola Razr. It was fantastic.
I thought it was in witness.
Top notch.
I thought it was in witness protection. But also, being a member, we do just member shows, which are exclusive, and then non-members will get them later as podcasts. So, and also, normally us three are always in the Telegram group. We all have a bit of a laugh. Not much football chat, to be fair. It's more random stuff.
It's just fun. Like if you just want a place to banter and throw ideas around, it's a great community.
$3.99 a month. Give it a go for a month. If you don't like it, you can always cancel it.
Yeah, and we're all trying to teach Ashley bad language and make her misbehave, and we're being a terrible influence, aren't we, Kev?
In fairness, it does help the channel keep going and keep shows going and what have you as well. So it does help us out as well.
Yeah. There is. Don't be serious, Kev. We're not that type of show.
I know.
No,
right.
But it's fun. It's fun. All of us are there. If you want to chat, if you want to throw in show ideas, most of the time we talk about food, but there is football stuff in there as well.
Well, Football 101 came from one of the members.
Yeah.
So, any ideas? We're always looking for new show ideas.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool. So before we go, Kev, anything before we go?
No, I look forward to tomorrow night. See how the lads get on. Hopefully, see some good performances.
Yeah.
There's just some good individual performances, some moments in the game. Ideally, you hope they're strong enough to get a win, because if they can get a win in this tomorrow night, it'll be a massive feather in their cap. And the fact that you're going to get minutes into legs that need them and that we might need in the back end of the season, like Slot was saying in his press conferences, I think is really important.
Yeah. Ash, anything for you before we go?
I'm the same as Kev. I'm excited to see some of these players hopefully get like a full 90, hopefully stamp, like, put their stamp on the game. I think big game for Elliott, big game for Chiesa, big game for Nunes. Those are the three that I'm really kind of looking at for, will you seize your opportunity? And, can we use you more in the games coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So listen, hit the bell icon, subscribe, all that good stuff. Gav will be doing a 30 for members tomorrow, so keep your eye out for that. If not, us three, plus I think Matt, will all be back.
Weather providing. I think
yeah, we'll all be
doing farming stuff.
Oh, was he doing farming, is he?
Yeah. Well, you broke up there.
Cool.
Come on, let's go.
That's all right.
Let's go.
So we'll all be back at 10 o'clock. We'll hopefully we'll talk about Liverpool win. Let's go. Right.